Hi, welcome to Conspiracy Cases. My name is Jeff Dixon, I'm your host, and we're in a series where we are currently looking at the conspiracy case of Montauk Point, a little military base in upper New York, where there's an official story and then there's the unofficial story. As we're unpacking it, your goal, my goal, is to try to determine what is the truth, but more importantly, what truth can we learn from the conspiracy? Camp Hero, that we've mentioned, is the name of the camp, as it was called there at Montauk Point. And they had a SAGE radar system installed, vital for the experiments that the scientists wanted to do. They rounded up physically sensitive subjects, and they trained them to focus their minds on particular objects. Their powers apparently became hugely magnified by the radar systems emitting gigawatts of electromagnetic force at them, and their thoughts manipulated by their controllers to discover the effects. One particular subject was a man by the name of Duncan Cameron, who, it was claimed, could make distant objects upon which he focused his thoughts actually materialize at some location on the base. Did you just hear that right? This is a guy who had the ability to think about things that were a long distance away and suddenly they would materialize on the base? That sounds like something out of Star Trek, doesn't it? But apparently that is what they said. The scientists realized that this happened after his focusing and concluded that not only matter, but also time was being manipulated as he moved the objects. Seeing the opportunity for just a little bit more than mind control, the resident technicians got on the case and constructed a functioning portal which would be used by unleashing the power of the radar and the mental ability of the psychics, with the hope of actually transporting people, things, through this portal of time. Hence, a time tunnel. If you're a child of the 60s, you remember there was a television show called The Time Tunnel. That was a show that talked about the government manipulating time and sending people back and forth to events in history with the intent of altering those events or changing the course of history. Of course, the tunnel breaks and busts apart and traps people that are traveling through time in different periods of time. And inevitably, each week the government would fix the tunnel long enough to snatch the people out, but never enough to get them back home. It would just keep propelling them into other places in time. That is, of course, until the series was canceled. The idea for that fictional TV show comes out of the Montauk Project's research and the origins and the rumors that took place from Montauk Point. They couldn't figure out exactly how to do this, and they were struggling, and this is where the story takes another turn. Because at Montauk Point, they got some help from aliens, from the Sirius star system, whose ship was accidentally sucked into the time tunnel that they had created. As a result, these aliens, finding themselves all of a sudden in Montauk, supposedly helped develop something that they called the Montauk chair, in which Duncan Cameron could sit during the experiments, which helped hone and incorporate his ability to focus and think and manipulate objects. As time went by, the complexity of the research and the operations increased, and the base expanded and began to build underground, layer after layer, moving all the way from where this base was located into the city of Montauk itself. During the 1970s, this labyrinth reportedly housed more sinister and dubious experiments. Thousands of young boys were abducted, some say by aliens, and delivered to Montauk. Subjected to extreme physical and mental torture, an extension, it is claimed, of the CIA's MK Ultra project, their minds were ultimately broken and then reprogrammed. Some became willing participants in further experiments, and others were designated as sleeper agents and returned to their communities, awaiting that secret trigger that would activate their participation in the future. They were known as the Montauk Boys, and they were supposed to exhibit typical Aryan characteristics, blue eyes, blonde hairs, and were selected for grooming as future leaders as the thoughts and the dreams of a new world order began to take place in this little place called Montauk. So now, if you think about it, this conspiracy file, this conspiracy case, as we dig into it, is now loaded with aliens, mind control, reprogramming, abductions, and then sending people back out into the general population to do the bidding of a hidden, clandestine government research project. I'm telling you, is that not the stuff of a conspiracy case? And you might be listening and thinking, no way, that didn't happen. It didn't say that it did. We're just unpacking the case. And we'll continue to do that in our next edition of the Conspiracy Cases.